guys hear me?
Yep, you're a little low, but that might be on me.
Can't hear you guys. Oh, okay, you're muted. Natalie, can you say something?
Can you hear me? I like your haircut.
Oh, nice. Cool for summer. All right. Um,
And just a heads up, our internet is down at work, so I'm running off a mobile hotspot and I'm not going to turn my video on because I don't know that it can keep up.
gotcha. Makes sense.
Funnily enough, the state library is down too, their phones and internet and stuff. So I jokingly sent an email to Jonna saying, did the whole Schenectady Upper Hudson debacle break the state library? There's too much.
There's too much going on. Yep. Do we know who else is coming to this meeting?
Marcia and Alicia, I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought everyone was available at this time, so
Okay.
just give it
Let's get here.
a yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, Marcia.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. I'm in the car and I'm on my way home, so I apologize for being late.
No worries. We're still waiting on Alicia, I think.
Okay. So I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to be
texted her.
driving. What?
I said I texted Alicia to see if she's able to attend.
okay.
Just to remind her
Oh,
because she's
okay.
not here yet.
And
Yeah.
Corey, it looks like, is on a call right now, so she'll be back in a minute.
Oh, okay. And I should be home in 5 minutes and they'll be here.
Perfect.
How is everybody?
All right. A beautiful day.
I know. What are we doing
Yeah.
inside?
I know. Nate, we have class outside today.
Can we just relocate all our services outdoors today?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. We'd be very innovative. We had to have
Yes.
a library.
It was funny. It was a gorgeous day like this, a couple weeks ago, and I went to leave work, and there was a whole crew of PPS folks were having a meeting outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys are smart. You have the right idea.
Yeah. Natalie?
Mm-hmm.
Natalie? I'm
Yeah.
going to try to do Gay Pride again. I just can't, commit right now, but I'm going to try.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, it was so nice last year, really.
Yeah.
So many people turned out. It was great.
Yeah. I'll as we get closer, because I think there's 3 events now. There's the Upper Hudson dinner event, there's the Pride Parade, and now there's National Night Out. So I'll get back into the habit of sending
Yeah.
my emails out to board and foundation, just a reminder of the volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, no, I got it all, and I'll try to do the UHL one as well. That was also a nice event last year.
Yeah, and it's
the night
it's
out is
closer.
the night
Yeah.
out's in August or something, so I'll
Yep.
wait on that. So
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so it looks like Alicia's here, but Alicia, you're muted, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry, I
cool.
didn't want to interrupt.
No worries. And I think Corey had popped off to take a call, but I don't know. Do we want to wait another couple minutes or just get started?
I would
Whatever you
just get
like.
started, I guess. I think she could pop in. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll might as well just get going, I think.
All right. So what do we want to start with? Do you guys, are you good on the Pete stuff, or do you have business to do about that in this meeting?
I think we're all set on that. I think.
Yeah,
that-
I sent the draft off to him to review, so not much to do right now. The only thing I would
Gotcha.
say is just, is anyone responding to the questions the lawyer put on there? Like, I sent it to him as is with her edits, but I know she had some questions on the side when you go through the document.
I have to, I'll look again. I know, I mean, one of her questions was just about that language we put in about the test, about whether, you know, he would need the, you know, to take the civil service exam or not. And so, you know, I think we're fine. You know, I'm satisfied with the language we put in on that. I don't remember what her other questions were. I mean, she had made the edits because we had the inconsistency in whether we were referring to a calendar year or a fiscal year. So she had corrected that, and I think that was fine.
Other
And-
question was about the sick leave, which if we didn't have any issues with, I don't think we actually need to respond to her. Like,
Yeah,
it was just questions for us to consider.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think anything caused like major changes. I wasn't sure on that day one though that you're talking about, Corey. Are we fine with what we have, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, what was her issue with the waiver of the civil service exam? She's aware that that's possible, right? Was it
Well-
just a language issue?
well, no, her question in the side was, is there some reason we think he might not have to take the exam or something like that? Like that was her question in the margin.
Oh, well,
Maybe she just doesn't know that that position is,
The New York
Yeah.
helps, yeah.
it's going in the New York Helps program for us.
well, we know the answer to that, right? So-
Right, we do. We know it's going in. Yeah.
Okay. I know.
All right. Yeah, so I think we're fine on this, the director contract stuff. So I think we can just move on to the management confidential talks. Yeah.
So last time I kind of ran you all through, you know, all the sections of this. At this point, do we want to dig into the nitty gritty on any of the particular topics that were covered?
I think that makes sense. I don't know where's the best place to start, but
Have your asks changed at all since we met last?
No, everything's still the same.
Okay, so why don't we start at the top with the COLA? No?
Yep.
I have no trouble with that.
I think that's fine, and that is what we budgeted for for the next year's budget. So I think I don't have any issue with that.
I don't either.
All right, cool.
Same.
So that's an easy one. And then I know Natalie, you had mentioned that you knew longevity payments were made in the first 5 years to a family member of yours who works for the county.
Yeah,
Right.
I asked him to get a copy of the contract, so I'm still waiting on that. But
Okay,
it started in year 3 for them.
gotcha. So Corey, I'm not sure if it's like, I know you had mentioned that at the state or something. I don't know if that was a law or if that was just the contracts that the state workers have.
I mean, I saw that it was like a require because the LLS, the longevity, whatever it is, or LPS, whatever it is, longevity service payments,
Mhm.
that is like state required. So if somebody got, so that is like this, not for state workers, but that is like a state definition. So if somebody got longevity payments like in advance of year 5, it would have to be under some other terminology.
Okay.
Unless Natalie can find something that says
Yeah,
different.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the contract from Albany County to see what they have, what the language is.
In terms of, so maybe what's kind of questionable is starting the payments earlier in people's tenure. what are you guys thinking about the change to the payments later, starting at year 5?
Change to the amounts starting after year 5.
Correct. Yes.
I'm trying to find the right document that has that in there.
All right. So it's in the spreadsheet that I sent you guys.
It looks okay for me. I think just my 2 cents. I think for longevity payments, the point is like longevity. So I think it makes sense for them to kick in at 5 years because that's you're like getting rewarded for staying for a while. But I have no problem bumping that number up as you're asking to like reward people properly for staying. That's kind of where I'm sitting with it.
Mhm.
Yep, and just to recap, the change was starting on the 5th anniversary, going from $900 to $1,000. So it's not a ginormous increase there. And then it bumps up $100 also for the 10th to 15th anniversary from 1900 to 2000. And then it's in the 16th to 19th that it goes up, a fair bit more. It goes up to 3,500. From 2,900, and then on the 20th anniversary date and beyond, it goes from 3,400 to 5,000. So those were the proposals that we had.
But you still wanted to kick in after 1 year, you said a modest amount.
That's what's been, proposed to, help us retain workers. But I think we're just waiting to see if we have an example of a contract that has language in it about that, so we can talk about it as, that way.
Okay, so we'll hold that in abeyance.
Yeah. But everybody else in terms of the bumping up, starting at year 5, let's say we didn't do the first 4-year thing, but we did want to raise up the amounts after that. Is there anybody opposed to that?
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like the 5th to 9th and the 10th to 15th are very reasonable, like additions to the longevity payments. The other ones, those are pretty big bumps. So I don't know what the rationale was behind that. If there was if you looked at comparable longevity payments or how those numbers were decided on.
Natalie, do you know the answer to that question? Because this was a pre-existing proposal from before I was kind of organizing this.
I think this was a request from IT's end, the longevity payments, and I think it was just, not to be cavalier about this, but just to throw something out there to see what could stick. I don't think it was we demand this and we want this. It was,
Right.
let's see if we can get this.
It does make sense to me that came from IT, because IT is an area where retention is the most challenging for public entities, because private industry can just pay so much more to IT workers. So it's always a challenge to keep qualified IT workers. And we've gotten lucky in this regard here for sure with Sean and Tom. So it doesn't surprise me that they were the ones that pitched this particular amount. But we could look at some comps and see what we can find.
Yeah.
In terms of what.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
people would pay.
the jump from 5 to 10 is $900, right?
Yeah,
from
they
900
were
to
modest
900.
increases for the first couple tiers.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think
then
a
when you
direct
get
quote
to-
from,
No, go ahead.
I was just saying a direct quote from Sean is that he was just saying, anything would be nice. Like, it was just that kind of like acknowledgement of it is hard to retain IT because, as Nate said, they can make so much in private sector.
Yeah, because the jump between the 10 to 16 is like $1,600,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's-
The 20 and up number goes up from 3,400 to 5,000. So that's a $1,600 jump for the
Yeah,
longest serving.
it's consistent.
Yep. So we can look for some
You
comps
know.
on that and bring that back to this group. And that'll give
That
Natalie
would be
time
good.
to get a copy of a contract that shows longevity quote payments starting earlier in people's tenure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can return to that one.
And just, just my 2 cents, I'm, I'm open to listening to the arguments. I feel like the first couple years, the first 4 years, I'm a little more skeptical on that one, although again, I'm open to hearing the argument for it. But,
Sure.
if you're giving it every single year, it starts to feel more like you're just kind of slightly upping everybody's salary rather than it really being longevity.
Yeah.
It's kind of, someone's been here 1 year, how much, is it really, to my mind, it seems like longevity is kind of rewarding people for, sticking it out over a longer term and staying, so you don't have this turnover and having to keep hiring new people and training up new people
Yeah.
and everything like that. And I think the benefit of that, is a little less when someone has only been here a year.
Mhm.
So I'm more skeptical of that. As I'm fine with some, increases to the later years, though it'd be nice to see numbers if there are any comparables or anything like that, but
Sure.
I'm definitely open to, some modest increases.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah, yeah.
in terms of that, I think it's just looking at inflation and thinking about, how do we keep the same value in those amounts would be a way of thinking about it to calculate those numbers as opposed to just, here's an idea. So I can look into that also.
Yeah, I mean, we
And
have
I'm
the COLA,
sort of-
right? The COLA takes into consideration inflation and everything else.
Yeah, the COLA
Um,
for that health
I-
just covers
It's about the
inflation.
beginning year. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical as Mike is about the beginning year. to Look at, what's out there in terms of starting at year one. As far as, 1 to 5 and 10 and 10 to, and 10 to 15. I think I'm not adverse to the concept at all. It's just we gotta, I think about whether or not the numbers make sense, or whether they,
Definitely.
they tend to be getting larger. So, I think everyone's on the same page on this.
Mhm.
I think,
I mean,
Very good.
I sort of stand with where Mike and Alish do, like that it is harder for me to justify longevity payments before 5 years or before, like on the first, second, and maybe third, especially just because I wouldn't consider that longevity.
Yeah.
But
all right.
All right. So we'll come back with more information on that so we can have a better discussion. We had talked about the minimum hours in our in-person meeting that we had, a couple weeks ago now. Do we need to dig into that more? What are you guys thinking about this one?
My opinion is I see no need to increase that. So they're currently at 35, and the question is
Correct.
the increase to match what the union employees have as their hours for full time. I don't see any reason to increase it. I think there's just a fundamental difference between a salaried employee and an hourly employee, and there's no reason that we need our work week minimum hours to be identical between those. So that's my opinion. I don't see any reason that we have to raise that.
Gotcha.
Same boat. I'm fine with 35.
I came in under the assumption that a lot of your full-time people were salaried, so that's my fault for not understanding that more clearly. So I'm fine with leaving it at 35.
Okay.
That's fine. It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I agree.
Don't feel
And
bad.
I don't think, yeah, and the fact that they're not exactly the same, I think is justifiable. So I'm gonna agree with everyone else.
All right, cool. So we'll call that one good. Now we move to health benefits. So we'll start with the statement in our contracts about us having to wait 30 days, a waiting period. That is just not something we need to do. And it is a recruitment issue. How do you guys feel about eliminating that language?
I'm okay with that.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank
reasonable.
you.
Awesome. That will help a lot. Because people always get scared. I got scared when I got the contract and I looked at it and went, if I want the insurance, I have to wait. All right, cool. So we'll just remove that. Very good. What do you guys think about developing a parental leave section.
I like the idea of parity between male and female employees.
So
I think
just
that just reflects real life.
just to be clear on that, so right now, there's no, there's just nothing specific about it in the.
Correct. There's
Right,
nothing
there's nothing in it.
specified.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I don't think it's specified in our union contracts either, which is something we should fix next time if we fix it here.
Right.
So yeah, I think we should just state what we expect.
Right, so this
So-
this bullet point, it's not really an ask for like a new benefit of like it's just an ask for like spelling out exactly what the expectation is of how people are going to use it.
Correct.
That's all to the good to make it clear to everybody what their requirements are. So I don't have any issue if we're just going to kind of spell out, what they're eligible for and how they have to, how it gets allocated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't,
Is there,
only
I'm
thing
sorry.
that I would say is to check into this a little bit more, because I don't know, about 5 years ago, New York started the Paid Family Leave Act, and that has different implications for folks who can bear a child versus folks who cannot bear a child. And there's a part of the insurance payment that is based on folks that have a uterus versus folks that don't. And so I think we need to ensure that whatever in the contract isn't off from what New York State's requirement is.
So this is one that
Mhm.
I'm thinking it would be best to bring it to Erin and say, hey, do
Yeah.
you have an example of a parental leave, that's spelled out in a contract with public employees? She probably could just copy and paste something from somewhere else. And then we can look at it and
Yeah.
go, okay, this is what we want. This is right.
Yeah.
Or we need to tweak it or whatever. Yes.
Yeah, because the state requires any employer to, or I'm just going to use the word female, anybody
Yes.
that can reproductively have a child, you pay in for each one of those. And so, and it's a part of that legal Paid Family Leave Act that just went into a few years ago. So like I said, have her look at it. She probably has some standard language. I just don't want us to end up with something in the contract that we can't have in there. Otherwise, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
The other
I
thing
mean,
is.
is it
Oh,
a
go ahead, Marcia.
definition, or is it a prohibition, an absolute prohibition unless you can have ovaries? I mean, do we know?
And I don't know that it's a prohibition for my female employees, and I don't really know all the details on it. But I do know that it's a requirement of the state. So I don't know that it's a prohibition, but I can dig a little bit into my paperwork too.
Yeah, so the other thing is, we may actually be exempt from that program. I can't remember if they amended the law to include public employers in it. But I remember being quite startled when this law went through and I was like, oh, great, parental leave is the law of the land. This is great. And then learned that it did not apply to public workers.
Yeah.
So we can ask about that. And I do think we should spell out if there is a difference between male and female, legally in terms of that program, we can spell that out if we do participate in that program. I don't think we do, but we might. But in terms of what we offer to our new parents, I think there should be parity there in terms of, yes, you can apply for FMLA leave.
Oh, yeah.
It's paid or not paid, like we just need to know what our rules are and then apply that equally to both male and female people.
Yeah.
So
Nate, I just want to back up to the first. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say before I forgot my thought, is just one thing to consider is if both parents work at the library, if there's any kind of, if each individual has to take their days or wants to take their days, or if they can load their days to the other person. I've seen that at companies, just something to consider if we want to do that or not. So like,
yep.
Right.
you both get 10 days, I don't know, I'm just making up a day, amount of
Yeah.
days, but one parent's intending to stay home primarily for like, I don't know, breastfeeding reasons or whatever. Maybe they want the additional days, just something to consider for flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll ask Erin about that too.
Yeah.
So,
Just going back to the first bullet point,
Mhm.
we practice not withholding now, so we want to put that in the contract. But is there anything in the current union contract that that says it kicks in after 30 days, or is it? I mean, I don't have the contract in front of me.
let me look real quick. This is one of those things where, we can either be on the cutting edge with this contract with the understanding that it could be something that could go into the union contracts in the future,
Right.
or we can be playing catch up. So let me just look real quick and see. Where did I put it? I had it up
I
and
don't
ready to
remember.
go, and now it's gone. Okay, here we go. Unit 2 contract. And so we're talking about the health insurance, right?
Right.
Scroll down and find that in here. Sick leave. Medical, out. Health insurance. Okay. Employees, yep, it's in the union contracts too.
It does
says
have
employees
eligible.
shall become eligible for health insurance after they have been employed 30 calendar days.
So, but the practice is that's not the practice, so we seem to be in derogation of the contract.
Correct, we
Is that
are.
what you're saying?
We're violating it to
Okay.
benefit the workers because it does not affect us in any way negatively to do that. In fact,
Yeah.
it helps us to recruit people. So the contracts just need to
Yeah.
come into, alignment with our practice, which benefits us.
Yeah.
And so if we do this in the
Well-
MC contract, then it'll be even, it'll just be clear that, oh, that's a benefit that the MC people have, the union people should have the same benefit,
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the union negotiation groups are going to complain.
No, I don't think so. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to know if when we come up with the next set of a negotiation,
Yeah.
what needs to be changed because it's not in practice. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll make notes about anything that we changed in MC that I think should be looked at in the next union negotiations, and I'll file that away so that we
Yeah.
can review that when we get to that point down the road, a few years. Okay, so I'll get some more information about some possible language for our parental leave section, including a provision for both parents work at the library, and see what Erin has on that.
Yeah.
And then the next health one is about the retiree health insurance benefit. The idea being that currently we provide this benefit to people who have 20 plus years of service with us. But if we want to recruit folks to work here who have a lot of job experience, we have to lure them away from similar provisions in other contracts. So do we want to offer this as a tiered benefit starting at year 10 with a 50%, coverage amount for that 10-year tier, and then if you had 15 years of service, you would get 75% of the benefit.
And what about when Medicare kicks in?
So the way it's written in the contract is when Medicare kicks in, we continue to pay them the amount that they
The
would have.
difference?
Yeah, we continue to pay them
Yeah.
a cash payment monthly. And it can be used to cover their Part B plan.
Okay, yeah. Okay, just wanted to confirm that. I read that.
I have mixed feelings. on this. I think that it's an awesome benefit, but from a financial perspective, it is a lot of unanticipated additional costs in the coming years if people, especially because I feel like if this is added to the MC contracts, it's probably going to be something that other units are going to want to add. And it could rack up a pretty big expense.
Mhm.
But
What
it's,
are
so
the
I
other
mean,
libraries do? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So I know that I know of 2 other libraries that have this benefit. So Colony, I know, has this benefit. What was the other one? I feel like there was one more that
Bethlehem?
I knew of. It might be Bethlehem. But I can look into fonts for this as well. Where else?
Maybe I don't, and
remember
maybe I don't
talking about
understand how this works personally to have an opinion. Is
Yeah.
it like if somebody has like 19 years of experience at one library and then jumps over here and needs like one more for like this benefit to kick in, we foot the bill for it, and it's not like
No.
divvied up amongst like
No.
libraries? Sorry,
So
I'm
the
not.
way the program works is that if you have 20 years of service with us, and then you retire directly from service with us, we provide you with a benefit that the amount of money is we look at the individual base plan, which is our CDPHP Silver plan, which when you work for us, we pay 90% of the cost of that plan. And that's like a dollar amount for that year. That dollar amount is then given to the retiree, either as a check that they receive monthly so that they can purchase their own insurance until, say, they retire at 62, for example, and they're not on Medicare. And they can purchase it on the marketplace, and we're subsidizing it at the same rate we were subsidizing their health insurance that was library sponsored. Or they can opt to remain on our insurance until they get to Medicare age, so that they don't have a gap in coverage. And we continue to pay our portion, and then they have to pay us for their portion. And then if they don't pay us, they get bumped off the insurance. So that's how the program currently works. Of course, everybody wants it to, like I've heard from multiple staff, MC and union folks, that what they would like to see is be, oh, you come work for us and you retire from us with all these other years of previous service, you get this benefit. But Corey, I'm with you on that aspect. That would be crazy for us to do, because then anybody could get that benefit from us. And it was just, it's very expensive to provide it. So, the proposal here is not that. It's not anybody can come in and, have 19 years of experience at another library, work for us for a year and retire and get this benefit. That's not how this is. You have to work for the 20 years to get it. We are just suggesting
us.
with us.
With
You have
us.
to work with us for those years. We're just suggesting that since this exists at other libraries and might keep people from feeling like they can come to us with that experience, that we start providing some level of benefit at year 10 of service with us, instead of waiting till 20 years.
Well, if somebody had a lot of experience and then came to us and they had like 12 or 13 years, why would they come to us? Because they probably, if that library had it, why would they come to us with a possible reduction when they hit 10 years with us? Why would they do that?
So this would at least give us an argument to make to them that, hey, you're not going to lose the entire benefit. So maybe our pay is better, or maybe there's something about the job here that appeals to them. So it's just it's a bargaining tool for us to be able to say, we know you're losing out on that benefit there, but as a part of the overall package, if you stay with us till the end of your career, you are going to receive some healthcare support, some subsidy. So it's just a recruitment tool.
Yeah, I'm thinking like this scenario doesn't happen often, because how often are we recruiting for a position where someone with this much experience might hop over? I'm thinking it's not terribly common, so I'm not super worried about it, but I'd be curious to see like what the numbers snowball like if we have like a theoretic, like, let's imagine we hire one a year or one every other year or whatever it is. Like, I'm curious how that might financially pan out, because maybe it's really not that big of a hit. I'm not sure if other libraries are doing it. I'm sure maybe they have like, some examples we can work off of.
So we actually already have this benefit. So we have some examples of what it currently looks like. And so we have, I think, 4 retirees currently with us that are receiving checks for this benefit. And all of our retirement incentive folks qualify for this benefit and are taking this benefit as well. So we're going to have 4 more. So I have been looking at the numbers. So the employer contribution currently, I can tell you what it is. And basically, It's the employer contribution at the time the person retires. It doesn't grow. Basically, whatever it is that you were earning towards your health insurance when you retired, that is the amount of money you continue to get for the rest of your life, as a benefit. So it's, it doesn't go, the cost doesn't go up and up and up. It's just we add people to it, and then as people pass away, we take people off of it. But let me look and see if I can find, I think it was about $1,000 a month is what we
How
are.
much?
$1,000 a month
1,000, okay.
at this time. the
For
first
everyone, Nate?
Just
Or
for
per
the
person?
for the new people retiring, but let me just double check because I can't remember if that's the amount of the plan that some people were paying for, or whether, so just hold on. Or maybe what I can do is I can look into this so we can move on, and I can get you guys more information about this one. But yes, I could do some projections. Also, now that I understand this benefit fully, and looking at the costs we're going to be bearing for these new folks that are going onto it, I think we need to start budgeting for this. We need to consider this when we're calculating the line on our budget for health insurance and benefits. And I'm not sure if that was done in the past or not, but we just need to make sure it's done going forward. So that, because we're gonna have 8 people with this benefit. So we need to plan
If you
for it.
can find out, I'm sorry, Nate, good.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcia.
If you could find out who has this benefit and what the levels of service are and the amounts attached to those levels of service, it would be helpful for us to take a look at that.
Absolutely.
And number one, and number two, from what you just said about the stagnant amount per month. So when somebody goes on Medicare and we have to give them a cash payment,
Yeah.
whatever we've been paying them, that's the cash payment. The fact that the cost of health insurance may go up is of no moment to that issue, right?
Exactly. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will work up a worksheet with some projections and some cost examples, what that would look like, and let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll keep working on that one. All right. So now we move on to the sick leave donation program. How do you guys feel about us adding this language? And then if we do add it, do you feel okay about us changing it to be a bank as opposed to just a donation program?
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm also fine with that.
Awesome. In our unit 1 and 2 contracts, the max you can get is 240 hours. Is that something that we think should change here, knowing again that it should probably change down the road in the union contracts also?
So that brings up a question I have. So right now in the unit 1 and 2 contracts, they don't have a bank, is that right?
They don't have a bank.
So it's just to a specific individual.
Yes.
Okay, so then my question is, if we were moving over to a bank system instead of, giving hours to a specific person, is it going to be a separate bank of hours for each bargaining unit, or how's that all going to work? I mean, that's something that's going to have to be figured out because.
Yeah. So we could go either way. I think basically people have donated their hours when they've left. So we have the base for a bank. People are like, I don't need to cash this out. Here's these hours. So we know we have a bunch of hours already banked, and we have hours from all the units at this point. So we could do a shared bank, or we can do a separate bank. I would think at the very least it would make sense to do a union bank and an MC bank as opposed to separate for each unit, because the unit 2 is so small. It's only going to have, I think, 4 people in it soon. And so that would not be a good pool for those folks to be able to use that benefit. And we want them to be able to use that benefit in these circumstances. So if we were gonna split it up, I would say have it be an admin bank and a union bank, but I think we could probably pool this as a pool resource. I don't know what the union would think about that.
You know,
Yeah, my initial instinct would be it would make sense to at least to split it between admin and the union. But you know, I guess that would be something that could be figured out down the line with the union contract. Well, I guess it would have to be specified for. I don't know.
It would be, maybe what we do is we set it up as a separate admin bank, knowing
Yeah.
we have hours already, so we're fine to do that.
Right.
We set it up as a separate admin bank in this contract. And then when it's time to negotiate with the union, we talk about it. We say, what do you guys want to do with this? How do you want to do it? And then we could always do an MOA for our contracts if we needed to. If we wanted to pool
I
everything.
have a recollection of discussing, of discussing a bank with both 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But right, and I don't remember the resolution of that. I don't believe it was strongly held views by either one,
Mhm.
but in practice, either one has a bank that people can tap into from those units.
I mean, we have banked hours at this point. We can use them and we have been.
Yeah,
using them.
I thought that it's done anyway, even though it's not written in
It's
the
not in the
contract.
contracts, but I mean, when somebody donates a bunch of hours when they leave, there's no point in just flushing those down the toilet when we could help somebody with cancer. You know?
Right,
So,
that was my recollection, that it wasn't memorialized, but in fact it was used.
yeah, so in terms of this, it's
Okay.
like, let's just make it formal. So that it's fair for
Yeah.
everybody and it's clear, you know? Um.
Yeah.
So I think we can start that process by making it clear in our contract. For admin, we have an admin bank. There's 11 people in this unit, so that's plenty of people. If we need to add hours to it, but we have plenty of hours already in it that people have donated, so we're good to start it. And then when it's time to negotiate with the union, we just say, hey, look, we have this language already created.
Mhm.
We want to just put it into, you know, the union contracts.
Yeah, and then, of course, it would be up to unit 1 and 2 as to whether or not they wanted to keep separate banks, but that's not our
Right.
problem now. I'm with this. I'm fine with this.
Okay, so we're fine with doing this. We're gonna set it up as a separate admin bank. And then to my question about the 240 hours, do we want to set a different cap on the number of hours?
So I'm between setting a cap versus making it discretionary, like
Mhm.
based on the situation. I just don't know if that makes it messier and if people would be nervous that they could potentially need more hours, but say the director at the time is like, no, you get like 20, but they need 100.
Right.
So I guess it depends on like people's comfort level and that being dictated by somebody ad hoc, or if you know, they would prefer to have like an actual numerical cap. I don't know. I go between the two. I'm assuming best intent and would hope any director would just give people the time that they need as long as there's availability and
Yeah.
you know, no sort of perceived like this person's taking all of the hours and now a second person has an issue and they don't have that access. I don't know. So
So the way
or
I've
what
seen
if we
this,
have a cap and there's not enough days in it? You know what I mean? Like we cap
Yeah.
it at 600, but there's 500 hours in there or whatever. You know,
Right.
I don't know the intricacies and maybe I'm overthinking it honestly, but
you're not. I think other places actually have a panel. You know, it's like multiple people are involved in allocating hours from a bank so that it's fair and
Mhm.
more impartial. So we could set up something like that. But we'd have to set up contingencies in case it was one of like, say, we could say there's a 3-person panel. It's the 2 assistant directors and the director. You know, but there'd have to be a contingency if one of those 3 individuals wanted to use the bank. So who else would be pulled in? Or it would be HR if we get an HR person and, you know, the director and one other person. We could do that. I would say, you know, this is something we can fine tune in the future too. This is what, a 3 or 4 year contract we're putting together. We're rolling out something new. Maybe we think about FMLA leave is 12 weeks, right? So what if we did 12 times 35 gets us 420 hours as being the cap, because that's 3 months. As opposed to 240, which is 6 weeks and change.
I mean, we could always set a cap and then just say additional days can be allocated, at the discretion of the director, and so that
Yeah.
there's some flexibility in there.
Yeah.
But like this way that there's some sort of like benchmark for like, this is what majority of people are going to get unless there's like some really extenuating health circumstance, right? Like
Right.
I think that would be a good compromise, honestly.
Okay. So do you guys
I don't
feel
know
good
if
with
others agree or-
420 hours with additional hours allocated on the discretion of the director?
I'd leave it to the director. We have a new guy coming in and, if he wants to put a panel, we could talk about it, but
Yeah.
I would leave it with the director. This
Yeah, I think-
also anticipates a
Yeah.
catastrophic accident or illness,
Right. And I
So
can
we're not
say,
talking about
we've had
control.
to my knowledge, we've had in the recent times, we have 2 usages of the sick bank. So it's not a super
Oh.
common thing, but it does happen.
Yeah.
People get really sick and it's terrible to just say,
Yeah.
oh, too bad. Bye.
Yeah.
No,
I
let's-
would leave 240 and make it discretionary. I think that was Elisa's suggestion. I would agree with that.
So you think we should keep it at 240 or should we up it to 420?
I'm neutral on this, really, as long as it's discretionary piece of the director.
Mhm.
So wait, so it's 240?
Yeah. Which I know from helping someone else who is using this program that for like cancer, this is insufficient. This is not enough time.
And again,
It's
that's
sufficient.
with 2 requests.
It's
Like
2
you have to
requests,
request it twice.
right, to get 240. So I think if we kind of just think about
I have no problem with
the 420.
Is there a rationale behind the limiting it to 2 requests?
I have no idea what the rationale was.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
don't
how
know
the
where
program is.
that came from. Yeah.
Yep.
Because that one just seemed, I understand having a cap, we can just, debate what's the right cap to have or, having
Mhm.
discretionary relief from the cap or whatever, but the 2 requests seems weird to me. I don't know why that just incentivizes people to take it in very large chunks if they're not sure how much that, if they're hoping, well, just need, a few weeks to get through this or whatever, and then come back and say, well, I need a few more weeks rather than saying, well, I only get 2 shots, so I'm going to ask for everything.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to eliminate the provision that you can't, you can only come back? I mean, I feel like it should be as needed and at the discretion of the director.
I think,
Inclination.
Because if someone's really sick in an extended, catastrophic accident or illness, I don't think it's going to be abused, and they may need the extra time. I leave it to the discretion of the director. The 240 cap, I'm kind of neutral on. We can go to 420, or we can split the difference and go to 360. I'm very neutral. I'll go with what everyone else says, as long as there's discretion.
All right. So, I mean, I think that the 420 is like, okay, every 3 months, this needs to be reassessed, and let's look at what's in the bank. Let's look at what people want to donate. That seems, from someone who's administering this program currently, I think that would make the program better,
Okay.
and easier to administer.
I say roll with it. It's not, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I doubt that doesn't happen often enough that I'm worried it's going to get abused.
Yeah.
Or anything. Obviously, you would know
Right.
someone's situation, and if the discussion, comes up about the panel, I would leave it to just the director and whoever's serving in the HR function, because I just worry about
Mhm.
too many people knowing people's personal health thing, or
Yeah.
if there's like a separate their supervisor or something that needs to
Mhm.
do something with scheduling, I would loop that person in, but I would not do more than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the director would check with the department head. The director would check,
Mhm.
with the person, you know, whoever is, responsible for the ill employee, and he's just not gonna grant something and gonna find out what the reason is, so.
Right.
And we have a new guy coming in. I would leave it to his discretion.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a panel. I don't think a panel makes sense.
Okay. So we'll put it together that way. We have about 10 minutes left, so we'll get to what we can get to.
Well, do we want to set another time to meet?
Yeah, we should probably do that before we move on.
Yeah.
All right, what are we, do we want to look at next week or what are we thinking? Or trying later this week? What do people feel like?
Let's see.
If we're looking at lunch
Oh.
hours, I'm wide open for any day, and then evenings
Yeah,
are kind
same.
of.
I can probably do Friday, same time.
This Friday, Marcia?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm
I
always
can't-
hopeful.
Fridays, for me, I have a standing meeting at lunch.
Gotcha.
Okay, so then you want to look at next week then?
Yeah, let's do that.
Are we
Okay.
looking at lunch or are we looking at early evening?
Either.
If we're looking at lunch, I'm available every time, and I think Elise said she was too.
I can't do Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, what about
Or-
Monday? Can we do Monday?
I can do Monday.
Can do Monday.
I can
Monday
do
is the
Monday.
only day that I can do noon.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Oh, wait,
Monday is the only day next week that I can do noon.
Okay,
okay.
I'm good with Monday.
I can do Monday.
all right, let's
I can
do
do
that
Monday.
then.
Okay.
I'll send Amy a
Thank
email.
you.
Great, thank you.
All right.
So that would be the 13th.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
yep,
the 13th, same time,
Yep.
right? Okay,
that's correct.
Yep.
and, okay, okay.
All right. Very good. So do we want to dig into the PTO section? Or do we want to wait on that until Monday?
Well, why don't we at least, we can at least start talking, though we're not gonna, we're not
Yeah.
gonna finish this one, but I had a question, and it was, I guess it was just, is there any, I'm just coming back, I had mentioned this briefly last time, but the separate time for vacation and personal days, is there any, I know that most of the comparables that you had on here have that split. It looks like Colony doesn't, though. They just combine it in one.
Correct.
Is there any strong feelings on that, one way or the other, just keeping it as it is, or
So
reasons to? I'm
if
just curious.
you guys are amenable to front loading some time for new employees, I think that it's less important that we have separate categories. Really what personal time does for folks is, if you're starting a new job and you have a life, you're a human being with children and whatnot, you need some time right off the bat. And so personal time gives you that. I'm not having worked at Colony for years. I had combined time. It was no big deal to me. It just meant my combined time I earned at a higher rate than I would have otherwise. So I'm not totally opposed to combining it. However, it is separated out in our union contracts. So this would just take us in a different direction, which could be fine. So what do you think, Natalie?
So the only thing with that, like me personally, I'm fine with a bank of time. I honestly don't have a preference. I just know from an administrative point of view, from a disciplinary point of view, it's separated out for sick time because we have had problems in the past with people who have called in sick to basically skirt around doing work. So there's a clause in, I think, one of the union contracts that says, you need to provide a note, a doctor's note of if you're going to call out 3 days in a row.
Oh,
So
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're
Yeah.
going to define it as just one lump sum, then it's like you kind of need some kind of other method. I mean, you might not have that in MC, But that's my only hesitation for, you know, if we want parity between the contracts, that's my only hesitation of separating out, because I don't know if I would want to lump it all in together for our employees, honestly.
So I guess my question
Yeah.
is, Mike, were you thinking about putting sick, personal, and vacation into one? Or were you still thinking separate sick, but combining personal and vacation?
Yeah, I think sick probably needs to be its own separate
Okay.
thing, because
Yeah.
there you have the donation program and things like that
Right.
go into it and everything too. So I'm more just thinking vacation and personal.
That would be fine with me. I haven't, yeah, that's,
I-
as long as the,
I don't have I don't have a extremely strong feeling about this. I've just never understood the sense of it. It just seems like it's two separate things to keep track of, and it's kind of
Mhm.
like, when I don't have, when I've had that in the past, when I've had, like I need to take a day for something or whatever, I'm always like, is this a vacation day? Is it a personal day? Sometimes it's kind of whatever. And it's like, and I've had jobs before where I've just had one, solid, I have this many personal days for the whole year, and I can take a week of vacation, or I can take a one day for a personal thing or whatever, and it's all coming out of the same pool of days, so I don't have to worry about, so I just don't see the point of splitting it that way. That's
So
all.
one thing to consider is that the way we have things here, personal time does not roll over.
Okay.
So what's nice for us as an employer is people don't build up this big pile of time. What happens with our personal time here is if you don't use it, it goes into your sick. It rolls over into your sick time. That's what they
Okay.
must have negotiated for, and so that's how it works here. But at least it doesn't. It's not another line where we have to pay out, and that's actually good for us that it goes into sick, because we don't pay out sick time the same way we pay out vacation time. We pay out sick time at this like tiny little percentage of it when
When you
people
retire.
leave.
Yeah.
So it saves us money.
Yeah.
So if we had all one type and we had those extra days, and then, depending on what we set, and we have to decide about whether we want to, pay people that whatever the amount is that they're rolling over, that they can't roll over, we have to decide that. But anyway, that's the benefit to having it be personal time. Personal time, you just use it or lose it. It's gone.
Okay.
Or in our
Yeah,
case, you use it or it goes to sick.
I like the separation for psychological reasons.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like I said,
A vacation to me is you're going to take a vacation. You're going to go away, or you're going to go on day trips and that kind of thing. Personal time is I have a heap load of work to do, and I have a personal time day, and that's what I want to use it for.
Yeah.
I don't have strong feelings about it, but for me, I like the distinction between the two, and in my head, it makes sense to keep them separate. But that's my own
Yeah.
personal view.
well, I would say, again, I don't have super strong feelings. My inclination is to combine them, but understanding that you have this different treatment of the rollover and that they roll into sick and all that,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't, we can't make that change without addressing all of those things and kind of doing
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So I would say just forget that for now. It's something maybe
Yeah.
for a longer term to
Down the road.
down the road, but
Yeah.
it just opens can of worms that we would have to clarify exactly how all that stuff gets treated. So
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'll drop that for the time being. That's
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
that too, Mike. You already said that part. That too. To keep it separate, right?
Yes.
I have to run, but I will join you all. I have another meeting. I will see you all on Monday. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yep.
Corey.
No problem. And I
Bye-bye.
don't know, well, I have a little time. I might be able to get some of the information out to this group that we talked about today. Before then, I will do my best. Things are a little crazy here, but I'll do what I can to get some more info out to you. Comps and things like that.
all right.
Yeah. Nate, may I make a request, Nate?
Yes.
I have trouble print spreadsheets. So if there's going to be any, because I couldn't print the one you had put in your memo.
Gotcha.
If you, any of this is spreadsheets, I would greatly appreciate it if you put it in my cubby.
I can absolutely do that. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, everybody, have a great day.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
So,
Bye.